Hi everybody, it's Robbie. Today, I was just going to plant a tomato plant and I decided I'm going to videotape while I do it. Just one tomato plant. But what I wanted to point out before I start is I'm hoping you can see in here my tomatoes that I staked up with masking tape. And now it's a jungle. There's 2 or 3 plants in here at the tops. Might be just 2. Are planted in these white bins. But they're actually in small pots, and I don't know if you can see in there. Let me see if I can get you in there. They're small flower pots. So the tomato plant was actually planted in a small flower pot that was sat inside this white bin. But the roots have left and gone now into the bin where I compost it in place here in these bins. Now these are old dog kennels that I got once from a pet store that threw them out. So let's see if we can see in here. See the pot in there? I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can move this over. This is a flower pot in here. No, it's too overgrown. It's a flower pot. So what I do is I plant my tomato plants. I do them all differently. But sometimes I plant them in a pot. Make sure the holes on the bottom are big so the roots can leave and it will not become root bound. And that's what I'm going to do today. So that's what we're going to start doing, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I was just going to plant it, but I decided I might as well just do a video and show you guys different ways I do things. So let's go start planting my tomato plant that I bought at the nursery. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this really cool tomato that is called Midnight Snack, and I'm going to put it into this pot. So see this compost container I've got. I've got a little collard tree growing in there, and I got a bunch of seeds that came up from, I think that's flat leaf parsley, and then of course my broccoli. And I'm going to put the pot in here. I've kind of dug out a hole a little bit, and this is all that leaves and matter and kitchen scraps that's kind of broke down. It breaks down really fast this way. I'm going to put the pot with the tomato plant. Let me see if I can show you. Sorry about this. I've got one hand on the camera and one hand. See the pot on the bottom? See the holes? Okay, well, once I plant the tomato plant in this pot, I'm going to, it will send its roots down. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stuff this with collard leaves. Then I'm going to push it into the soil that's down there. And the reason is, of course, the roots aren't going to be coming out yet because it's a small tomato plant. See how small it is? So it will be towards the top of the pot. But as it sends its roots down, the collard leaves will already have broke down, and the earthworms will be eating the collard leaves, and of course there'll be all that wonderful fertilizer for the plant. And then it will leave this pot and go into the full container that I've got here. So that's what I'm going to do now. So let me get started and get this done. And this is how I do a lot of my plants. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to plant my tomato plant inside this composting tub that I've been composting in place. And it's going to be permanent. It's not coming out of the pot. It's actually going in the pot. So you can watch me and I'll tell you what I've done after I'm done. Oh, real quick, this is the pot that's got the holes on the bottom. I don't think I can tip it. I don't know if you can see that. The holes are on the bottom. The roots will come through, and it's full of different leaves and things from the garden, trimmings, all kinds of stuff. You could even throw some native soil in there if you want. So I'm almost done. It looks like, what is she doing? I throw all kinds of leaves on the top. I did have some potting soil, so I put a little bit of potting soil. And now I am going to cover the whole top with wood chips. I'm using this as a mulch. It will, a ground cover. So, and I'm also going to add it around the bottom because I want the pot to make sure it's in the ground at least an inch or two. So this way the earthworms can travel up and down. I will put a stake here. And I'm going to put on the top of the stake the tag that came with the plant. This one is another, I've got another one planted, Midnight Snack. And now this will grow right here. All the trimmings that I took off the bottom, this one, I'm going to trim off all the flowers and I'm going to root this. I'm going to have another plant. And that's how easy it is to plant tomatoes. I decided to plant in this one because I already have a basket. The compost is really broke down nice in the green tub. And now this tomato plant is going to take off. It's going to send its roots down further. Plus it's got all these leaves that I pushed in that will be rotting, and the worms, the earthworms and critters will come up to eat all that too. Now I just need to water it really, really good, and we're good to go. So there is my new tomato. It's planted in that pot, which is in the compost bin here that I compost in place. I'll put a link to my other videos how I do it. That tomato plant is going to thrive beautifully. It's going to be so big, I'm probably going to be sorry I planted it up against the house. But I also, as you can see, took a stake and I put in, with a little masking tape, I put the tag on the stake. And that's how easy it is. And also on the bottom, I showed you that I took off the pieces. I took off almost all the leaves, except for a few. You have to leave a few. I mean, the plant needs something to survive. If you took it all off, it wouldn't work. Now it's going to go in here with my other ones where they're rooting. I've been planting them. See the roots? Just take pieces off. You can stick it in water. The other thing you can do is you can stick them in damp soil and you could skip the water. Here's another piece from the Midnight Blue. Because it was so small, it might rot in the water. I stuck it here. But let me take you around on the other side. And I did this last week when I planted, I bought 2 Midnight Blues. And look at this. I planted a piece from the bottom and it's growing. They so easily set root. Here's another piece I planted. Actually, it doesn't need that big leaf. I'll take the big leaf. This is a different tomato plant that I was planting. And of course, yes, I got seedlings coming up because I squished some seeds in there so I can move them if I want. It's a dried out eggplant. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But see, I stuck that in the ground a week ago, and this is going to, in this pot planter, because I know it's nice and damp. And this is going to take off now. So I can transplant it, move it, do what I want whenever I want. But that's how easy it is. I just love using my compost bins. Could you put it in the ground? Yes. And you can put it in the ground the same way I put it in the tub here. And the reason I like doing this and putting it in a pot, especially here where we're dry in Southern California in the summer, when I water this tomato plant in this pot on the top, I know that the roots are getting watered very well. And then of course with the big holes, it will run out into this large compost container I've got. And the other plants will be benefiting by the water that's going to this plant. So that's why I like doing pots. It has worked out so much better. You know, I can go water something in the ground, but you don't know if there's a crack. You don't know if the roots are going to get enough water. You don't know where the water is going to make a trail and leave. I know when I plant in a pot like that, that these roots are getting the water and this plant is getting the water. And then from there, the water leaves, goes into my tub that I composted in. This is all my kitchen scraps and everything. And the water's in the whole tub. So it's like you water on the top and it waters the bottom as well. And I do continue to push leaves in. It's an extra source of food for the tomato plant. So with that, I wanted you to join me today as I did this. This is my morning chore. And I got another tomato in, and I have one more sitting there I've got to get in. And then I'm good with my tomatoes, I think, this year. We'll see. I always end up finding something else or planting something else. So have a great day. Get your tomatoes planted. Have any questions? Go ahead and ask. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.